Hello there. Welcome back to the Bernie Miklasz Show, or as we like to call it here, the Bernie Show, presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. I am Bernie Miklasz, and I've been chronicling St. Louis sports since 1985 as the lead sports columnist for the Post-Dispatch from 1989 through 2015. Here at STL Sports Central, I do 5 videos a week and write 5 columns a week, and I work because I love doing it. And you can catch me on the Randy Carricker Show every Friday morning, usually around 10:30. I'm also a regular on KMOX, FM 104.1 or AM 1120. I do the Cardinal Territory video podcast with my friend Katie Wu at least once, sometimes twice a week. And I do, for years now, I've been doing my Seeing Red podcast, our Seeing Red podcast on the Cardinals with my friend Will Leach. All right, let's get started. Today's topic: the Cardinals need to get creative and bold in their approach at the trade deadline. I hesitated there after I said that because I wanted to give you a few seconds to laugh. Creative, bold. The Cardinals, with John Mozeliak running the baseball operation. Bernie, have you lost your ever-loving mind? Yeah, probably. For me to suggest such a thing and knowing it ain't going to happen, yeah, what can I say? I guess maybe my brain is malfunctioning. Guilty as charged. But I'm still thinking about this, and I know some of you, maybe many of you have too. It's not like I'm the only one thinking this idea, but still, I've been giving it a lot of thought and doing some research. And I did mention this idea briefly last week, I think, on KMOX. But the idea has kind of stayed between my ears here, so I wanted to talk more about it. So pardon the cliche. In the ideal scenario, the Cardinals would, quote, think outside the box and do something that hardly anyone expects. I mean, in terms of the mainstream, right? And I'm going to say that that move would be to trade outfitter Lars Nootbaar at the trade deadline if the opportunity presents itself. Then again, you have to look for the opportunity rather than assuming all of your players are stars, even though they're not. The Cardinals tend to overrate their own talent, and that's been one of the problems, or they wait too long to trade them. And then sometimes they trade them and they do better in other places. But that's more about the Cardinals' failure than it is the other teams being smart, although I think the other teams are smart to know about how the Cardinals have repeatedly failed developing their own prospects, which will change under Chaim Bloom. But anyway, I do believe the Cardinals should think about, and they should trade him in a move that would acquire assets to make this team stronger in 26, 27, and beyond. The reasons why I say this makes a lot of sense, and I'll get into them here in a bit, and I'll take you right down the list of things why it makes sense. But on top of everything, before I get to that, let me just say this. I'd like to see a little action here, and I'm not proposing the Nootbaar trade just because I need action. I mean, if I needed action, I could play hooky and go over to Fairmount Park or something and bet on the horses. You know what I mean? No, I sit here a lot and I think of things and I research things and I study things. I talk to people. I analyze things. And this is something that not only would create a buzz, which is a good thing. The Cardinals need buzz, right? But it also is a very logical thing to think about and a logical thing to do. Because I can only speak for myself, but I think I speak for a lot of people, maybe not. With the trade deadline, July 31, it is approaching. I'm bored as hell reading or hearing these nonstop, just endless, nonstop. Should the Cardinals be buyers or sellers? Buyers or sellers? Here's why they should be buyers. Here's why they should be sellers. Here's why this. Here's what. It's so redundant and it's so irrelevant for the most part based on what we have come to expect. John Mozeliak had a chance to create a buzz in the past offseason. He could have cashed in starting pitcher Eric Fetty and closer Ryan Helsley when they had much higher value than they do now. Fetty doesn't have any value. And Helsley's value is down because of he's not had, by his standards, he has not had a good year, and his fastball is extremely hittable. But there's a lot of desperate teams, and Mo might be able to get something for Helsley at this year's trade deadline. But not if Mo has convinced himself the Cardinals are going to the World Series or something. Once again, the Cardinals always overrate what they have. And they overrate it because it sounds good, although the fans don't buy it. The media falls for it a lot. The fans are like, okay, not this again, not this again. We're on to you. I don't want to talk about how, we have a lot of talent. Oh, we have really good players. We think we can do something. We think, hey, we think we can have a winning season. We think we can be in the playoffs if everything breaks right. And that's why they are stored, and thankfully this is the last year of John Mozeliak, but this is why they are in this cycle of mediocrity, because they talk themselves into thinking that the players and the pitchers they have are better than they really are. So how do you improve if you look at average talent, some above average talent, but a obvious shortage of elite talent, but you convince yourself you're a playoff team, or at least you will be in the race for the playoffs, which, by the way, doesn't take all that much to do. So the Cardinals always manage to convince themselves that they're pretty good. You know why? Because for them to acknowledge that they're not all that good, or they're decent, they're solid, but that's all. They don't have a high ceiling. See, that would be John Mozeliak admitting, in effect, that he's failed at his job. He's not going to do that. So they're going to try to sell you on the idea, we're pretty good. We have a chance to have a really good season. So that's why they go around in circles instead of making some bold, creative move that's going to just kind of change the landscape a little bit. And Mo is scared. Mo, he's on his way out, and he's scared. He wants to go out as a winner, or whatever the heck he wants to go out as. And so he's going to hold on to assets. And that's why he held to Fetty, which was turned out to be an epic mistake. And that's why he was, no, we're not interested in trading Helsley. Some of us thought they should have traded both because they had peak value. So anyway, Mo is waiting to see if the Cardinals collapse between now and the July 31st deadline, or he's waiting to see if they can hang close in the wild card race, so he can make some sort of low-level roster upgrade that won't excite the fans or make this team better in a significant way. Hey, I'm all in favor of upgrades, but you know what? For the Cardinals to really make a run at this, I would argue that they would need to make a serious upgrade because their rotation is falling apart. You have a president of baseball operations that just won't budge on the idea of getting Fetty and Miklasz out of here. And the offense, the Cardinals are 17-19 in the last 36 games, and their offense has been, in the bottom 5 in the major league since May the 30th. So they obviously need a boost, and they're going to get it when Ivan Herrera returns, and that'll be right after the All-Star break. But my point is, okay, you add another reliever, let's say, yeah, would it help you? Would it help you, have another appealing option for over the final couple months? Maybe you win an extra game or two. I don't know, but I'm just saying, does anyone expect any kind of significant, substantial addition to this roster at the deadline or before the deadline? I don't. Maybe I'll be surprised. I don't. And Mozeliak's recent interviews have been priceless. First of all, I love everybody who covers a team. I really do, and they work hard and they do a good job. And actually, it's their job to report on what the Cardinals are thinking in terms of the upcoming deadline. But we've now read the same story like 500 times, maybe, and it's not the writer's fault because editors, everyone, they just say, well, we really got to work on this trade deadline stuff because fans are really into it. And I get it. So they're doing their job. But, every story, it's Mo waffling, well, I hope this team puts me in a situation where I have to have a chance to make a tough decision about what we should do at the deadline. I hope we get to the point where, we can legitimately talk about adding talent. I hope we get there. We're kind of in the wait, we're in the holding pattern. You know, we could be buyers, we could be sellers. We just have to wait and see. I hope they make it tough on me. It's an endless loop of the same sound bites. And then my favorite this weekend or Friday when he was talking to everyone at Wrigley Field, reporters, they were asking him why McGreevy's not in the rotation, considering that Miles Michaelis and Eric Fetty are basically pitching batting practice for the opposition. And you see teams that's like almost racing to the batter's box to get some of that, right? No self-respecting organization that's trying to win would have not one, but two of these guys, 40% of their rotation. So Mo was asked about McGreevy. When's he going to be up here and when he's going to use opportunity? And by the way, we're overrating McGreevy as well because those two guys stink so much that McGreevy is, going to look like Bob Force by comparison or something. When I say we overrate him, I'm not in any way suggesting he can't be an effective major league pitcher, but he sort of reached mythological status again because the front office is so incompetent and they leave this guy in the minors and they're carrying two major league starting pitchers who are tremendous liabilities at this point. So that's why we all love McGreevy, because it's like, please, anybody but these two guys, right? So Mo said when asked about this, he said, McGreevy is a major league pitcher. There's just not a spot open. That's because you don't have the guts to open a spot for him. Because to move Miklasz out of there, especially, you would have to admit that you got nothing to show for the fact you've given him not one, but two contract extensions. And during that time, he's had one decent, good year, which was 2022. But you can't admit a mistake. That's why there's not a spot open. If a team was committed to winning in any real way, Miles Michaelis would be on his fishing boat near his home in Jupiter, Florida right now. Well, there's not a spot open. Geez, well, I wonder, like Katie Wu said at the end of her athletic story on this, she said, if only there was someone who could make that happen. In other words, you got to love the irony of John Mozeliak saying, well, listen, our problem is that there's just not a spot open. And Katie said something, she got kind of sassy and I liked it. She said something like, oh, if only there was someone who could do that. Meaning John Mozeliak. So what the hell is he talking about? Well, we can't bring him up here because we wouldn't have enough in Memphis. Nobody cares about Memphis. Anyway, the Cardinals factually have two of the worst starting pitchers in the majors. I had to rant again. I apologize. I ranted Monday about it. Had to go back in. They clearly could upgrade the rotation, but John Mozeliak, at least when it comes to Michael McGreevy, is in no hurry to do so. And the Cardinals are damn lucky that some of these other wild card contenders are, just keep losing games. And even though they have more talent in the Cardinals, and most of them have a much larger payroll in the Cardinals. So the Cardinals are just kind of hanging on because the other contenders for the wild cards have been slow to get to the business of winning. So they've given the Cardinals a chance to hang on because the Cardinals, again, if you go back to May 30th, they have like the 12th best winning percentage. This was before last night, 12th best winning percentage in the National League. Trending down. So, but yeah, oh no, can't make room for McGreevy. See, this stuff is just Looney Tunes. It's just what crazy. In my next segment, all right, I had to get some venting out there, but in my next segment here on the Bernie Show, I'm going to talk about the hypothetical trade Nootbaar scenario and explain why there is a lot of merit to the thought. This is hardly some kind of pie in the sky wish casting. Oh, let me put something together. It's kind of a hot take and I'll get clicks and all. No. I don't do that. Because if I did that, if that was my philosophy, would I be putting a lot of statistical information and analysis in my videos? No, I wouldn't, because the easiest thing to do is turn it on and go hot take. So I wouldn't propose the idea of trading Nootbaar at the deadline unless I thought there was really a lot of common sense attached to that. But first, and I thank you at first, some words about DraftKings and their daily pick six fantasy game. DraftKings, of course, gives you a choice of all kinds of sports, but we're in a baseball town and it's baseball season. And if you know Major League Baseball, then it's time to put your brain to work and go for it. Win some big cash prizes through the pick six daily fantasy contest at DraftKings. DraftKings Pick Six, you just focus on player stats, select anywhere from 2 to 6 players, choose whether that individual player will go higher or lower on a specific stat line for his next game listed by DraftKings. And yeah, Pick Six is that simple. Like, for example, you'll see for a starting pitcher, you'll see a higher or lower line set at 4.5 strikeouts. Or 5.5 strikeouts. So the point being, if you think that starting pitcher will go over 4.5 strikeouts in a game in his start on this next start, then you would play higher. If you don't think he'll do that, you go lower. Yeah, and that's really that simple. And they even provide information for you that you can use if you click on the player profile once you download the app. I mean, they show you trends. They show you stuff that's helpful. It's really well organized and it's really good and it's really simple to play. And it's fun. So get in the game and take your best shot at winning. Pick Six available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. You're going to enjoy tracking your players while the games are in progress, but you're also going to enjoy something else a lot more when you win at DraftKings Pick Six Fantasy. It's easy to get started. Download that fantastic DraftKings app, open an account, choose your sport, pick your players, get that lineup set, and go. New players at DraftKings get $50 in Pick Six credits instantly with just a $5 entry. You download the DraftKings Pick Six app, and now you use the code STL Sports. That's the code STL Sports for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick Six credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, thank you. Now let's get into segment number 2. And here's why I'm floating the idea of moving outfielder Lars Nootbaar at this trade deadline. If not this trade deadline, then at least next off season. And then, hey, at least Chaim Bloom will be the one doing the wheeling and dealing. Anyway, but I'm talking about for this deadline. Here's why I don't think it is cuckoo to suggest this. Because if I thought it was cuckoo to suggest this, I wouldn't be suggesting it. Reasons? Okay, number one, there would be interest in Nootbaar, as we have alluded to, and you know this because you all get tired of people in the media like me talking about his StatCast numbers. I get it. Lars Nootbaar is the unofficial StatCast king, and even though he is basically an underachiever, he's never lived up to the hype except for just, stretches of time. Like, he's having his worst big league season offensively so far this year, and that shouldn't be happening for a guy who's the StatCast king and who came to the majors he actually had a cup of coffee or two in 2021. This is no baby, right? Why would he be having his worst season offensively in 2025? The numbers just keep going down. But a lot of baseball executives are gaga over Nootbaar's StatCast profile. They're in love with him, and StatCast has put them together. Oh, the StatCast king. We have a chance to get him. Oh, my goodness. Number 2, I scanned a list of team needs at the trade deadline as it approaches. And man, did I do a lot of reading on this. And I sent some emails around to some of my friends in the business. And I came away with just a rough idea of who would be in the market for someone like Lars Nootbaar. And with my research and also reading some pundits that I respect, We can identify these clubs as needing a corner outfielder, a left-handed bat, or both. And Nootbaar basically is both. This list of teams that are a match based on what they need, it includes, because there's probably some others we're not sure about, but what I'm reasonably confident in saying, like who would be on that list of a match, are the Astros, Mariners, Dodgers, Padres, Phillies, and Royals. And there's, I think there's more. I think like the Rangers would be on that list too, because I'll tell you why when we get down there. So his kind of profile plays in this particular trade market because his position and his left-handed swing, and he's a good defender, that fits in with a lot of teams. And some of these teams have remarkably bad situations in left field or right field. And again, I'm going to get down here deeper in this and give you examples of what I'm talking about. All right, number 3. There's another reason why Nootbaar has good trade value. He's under team control for 2 more seasons after this one. He can't become a free agent until before the 2028 season. And even though he's making $3 million right now in his first year arbitration, and that is going to go up over the next 2 seasons, the point is you trade for Nootbaar, and it's not like he's already got the big free agent contract and you're stuck with it if he goes bad. On the good side, he's affordable, and you will have him for the rest of this season and then the 2 seasons after that. See, that gives front offices a lot of peace of mind, because it's not a long-term commitment, but yet you can capitalize on an affordable contract by getting him now and having him for this and then the next 2 years. Number 4, the Cardinals, as we know, have a surplus of left-handed hitters, but that's just part of it. That's not the only thing. The Cardinals also have left-handed hitters who do what Nootbaar does. They have one in particular. Absolutely in particular, they have an up-and-coming outfield prospect in Nathan Church, who bats left-handed, and he can play left field, he can play center field, and he can play right field. He can run, he hits for average, he gets on base, he has really developed power. And the new minds, not the same old crew, the fresh minds and the brighter minds that are in charge of this farm system now and in charge of player development, they think so highly of Church. Nathan Church is at AAA Memphis right now after starting the season with a few games down at low A Palm Beach. So he played a handful of games at Palm Beach. He didn't go to high A. He went directly to AA Springfield, and now he has been in Memphis. So he's one step away from the majors. You got to love a guy. An organization's got to love a guy if they're moving him from low A to AAA before we're even to the All-Star break. That's a fast train, man. So Church played 29 games for Springfield before he went on to Memphis, and I'll give you some numbers there. But let's go back in time a little bit. Last fall, it's where teams send their best prospects, or some of their best prospects, the Arizona Fall League. Last fall, Nathan Church created a stir down there in Arizona because he hit 364, and he was drawing walks, and he was making great catches, and he was running around. I mean, just really, really impressive. He impressed the scouts. He really impressed the scouts. And these are third-party scouts, right? Baseball America rated Church in terms of like who the Cardinals have in their system. They rated him as the number 1 best defensive outfielder, and also rated him number 1 in terms of the best outfield arm. And Church, as I mentioned, does run well, and he does play exceptional defense. And his offense is, in other words, just because you hear he can run, he's a left-handed hitter, and he plays good defense, with all due respect to Michael Ciani, this is not Michael Ciani when I talk about Nathan Church. In his first 25 games at Memphis, keep in mind, never been at AAA before. Until this year, never been above A level before. First 25 games of Memphis, he's hitting 356. He draws so many walks that he's got a 436 on base percentage. He doesn't get himself out. He's slugging 574. And the thing about him is, like with Jordan Walker, you wondered, oh, is he ready? Is he ready? Because Jordan Walker, they drafted him out of high school and they rushed him through and they were careless and irresponsible. And we know the repercussions of that. Well, first of all, you got smarter people making these types of decisions now. And the other thing to point out is Nathan Church is he's a little undersized. I think he's 5'10", maybe 5'9". And so maybe some of these old school scouts will, stay away from him. You know who wouldn't stay? You know who doesn't do stuff like that? You ever heard of Sal Frelick? Milwaukee Brewers, the team that continues to kick the Cardinals' ass every year, despite having a much lower payroll. Take a look at Sal Frelick. Look at his size and look what he's doing. And he's getting better and better and better. He's an important part of their team now. Church was a college ball star at Cal Irvine. He got drafted in the 11th round in 2022. Randy Flores and his group took a flyer on him, and really smart pick. And, he's going to be 25 years old on July 18th. So this is not some baby dude. It was immature, unpolished, needs a lot of work. He's not one of those guys. He's about as prepared as you can be for a prospect that has not been in the major leagues. This isn't like Chase Davis, the guy they drafted in 23, who's raw, and you were drafted him because, boy, you could see the athleticism and the raw talent, but he needs a lot of polish and his swings this and that. Nathan Church is not that. He's basically a ready to go guy with a great understanding of the game and really good in all phases of the game and really mature and smart. And that's a good thing. So to put it another way, Church is a left-handed hitting outfielder who can play other positions in the outfield. And so if the Cardinals love him as much as it seems, they have to make room for him. And I'm not saying he come up right away, but they have to make room for him very soon. So if the Cardinals trade Nootbaar and they get something good for Nootbaar, then you also open up a spot for Nathan Church instead of blocking him and doing the stupid Mozeliak thing, which is to always block players because you have too many guys who play the same position or who swing from the same side of the plate. They're going to stop blocking people. And as Randy Carricker pointed out, in addition to Nathan Church being just about ready to go and you don't want to block him, as Randy Carricker has pointed out, and others have pointed it out, the Cardinals should also repurpose Ivan Herrera and turn him into a left fielder. And it's actually a good, sound idea. I don't know if it'll happen, but when I asked Ollie Marmol about it, he kind of had a little smile on his face, and he said he didn't rule it out. Oh, it's something we're going to talk about. So that would be even the idea that Herrera will be relocated to left field at some point soon, because he's not a catcher. And you got to have his bat in the lineup, right? That's yet another reason to clear spaces out there. And I'm saying Nootbaar because he is the most tradable, most valuable trade commodity you have among those outfielders. Some of you might say Jordan Walker. All due respect, no, there's no reason in the world to sell low when he's still so young. I'm not giving up on him just yet. But the point is, you don't sell him low, okay? The main point, there's also Chase Davis. I mentioned him, first round pick in the 2023 draft. He's having a really poor season at AA Springfield. I don't know what to make of that because he showed some real growth last season. But it's not, just call him up on Baseball Reference. His numbers at Springfield are awful. I really don't know how to gauge his future. You'll see him on the Cardinals' top 30 prospects and all that stuff. But come on. He's taken a big-time step back this season. I hope it changes for him. He seems like a nice dude. The main point here, Nootbaar is absolutely expendable. You can deal from a surplus. You can open space for players who are making their way here. And Nathan Church, in his case, it's going to be sooner than we would have expected. You have Ivan Herrera, who could be turned into a left fielder. Nootbaar is expendable. They've got too many guys like Nootbaar. Number 5, Nootbaar has real talent, but he's also prone to injury. Overall, I'd say he's been disappointing here. He has had stretches where he's been fantastic. Started this year, for example, and then at the end of April, since then, he's done virtually nothing. I mean, it's amazing how bad his numbers are since May 1st. And with Chaim Bloom taking over from Mozeliak after the season, the Cardinals, I guarantee you this, they will be much, much, much smarter in the area of payroll efficiency, and payroll efficiency is important. Why? Because it's smart. Why pay millions of dollars for someone who's not going to be as good as the guy who would replace him, who's going to be making the minimum? That's just smart business, okay? Nootbaar's making around $3 million this season. That's going to jump quite a bit for 2026, and then it'll jump again in 2027, and then he can become a free agent. So if Nathan Church is the real deal, and if you're wondering, well, is he the real deal? Listen, all we got to do is look at how quickly the Cardinals have moved him up to the point where he's one step of the way away from the majors, and that's all happened in 2.5 months. What would be the point of paying Nootbaar? You know, you're paying him $3 million now, and you pay him maybe $6 million next year, $8 million, whatever. What's the point of paying him all those millions when you have a more cost-efficient replacement who's close to the majors and someone who's got a really good skill package? That's not all. In 2021, the Cardinals drafted, you may remember, a second rounder out of the high schools. His name was Joshua Baez. And he was a baby when they drafted him. They took him in the second round, as I just mentioned. Sorry. He struggled really badly in the earlier on the minors, but that was a big time jump, even in the low minors for a high school kid. Unpolished, raw, just had a lot of work to do, but the kid has worked and worked and worked. And now at age 22, Baez has taken a leap forward in 2025. The Cardinals moved him from high A level, Peoria. Then they moved him to double A. And in his first 31 games at Springfield, he has slugged .529 and displayed much improved plate discipline. He's a comer. He's a guy that's figuring it out now. He is a corner outfielder, and he is a right-handed bat, which is they need that too. And he has real power. And he's getting smart about his plate approach because he's getting more experience. They drafted a second-round pick to get him, and now that he's making real progress and he's doing it in a hurry, he's going to be a factor in the major league picture soon. I can't say, not this year. I can't say for sure 2026, maybe second half of 26, probably by 27. He's on the way now that he's figured stuff out. So the Cardinals have a lot of options. If they trade Lars Nootbaar, they're not going to have any problem finding people to play that position and to do well. And you don't want to block their path. So what could the Cardinals get in exchange for Nootbaar? I'll talk about this in my next segment, my third and final segment here on the Bernie Show. But first, I want to speak to the guys out there about Blue Chew. Gentlemen, if you are in a deep slump and you're feeling hopeless, don't give up. No retreat, no surrender. Do something about it. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Guys, Blue Chew can help you get going and revive your performance where it counts in terms of your love life. That way you can have a more pleasurable and rewarding and fulfilling experience with your significant other, and that is a positive. That is great for both of you. Listen, I can have some fun with this and use some slang, use some metaphors just for kicks. So why not? Guys, do you want to have a much stronger bat? Do you dream of having the power to drive your tee shot 300 plus yards? Do you want to put more joy in your joystick? Do you want to get off the bench and become a star quarterback who completes pass after pass after pass to loud applause? Okay, on a serious note, Blue Chew can help you. They really can. This applies to men of all ages, but I'm talking about specifically because it pertains to me. Dudes in my age range, over 60. This issue impacts a lot of men, and I know all about it. That's why I appreciate Blue Chew and what it does for me, and I want you to discover the benefit. It's easy to try, easy to get, easy to take it, sort of a test run with it. It's Blue Chew's the original brand offering chewable tablets for enhanced intimacy. As we like to say here on the Bernie Show, Blue Chew, yep, chew it and do it. You will get your first month of Blue Chew free. You're just a few clicks away. It's easy to get going. You sign up at bluechew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers. And once you are approved, you're going to receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew is made and prepared in the USA. It's all done online. There's no doctor's appointments. There's no awkward conversations. There's no crowded pharmacies. It's all done in private. You just order online and you're good to go. And yeah, you will be good to go. So we got a special deal for our listeners and viewers here on the Bernie Show. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the promo code Bernie. You just pay $5 shipping. That's it. That's promo code Bernie. Visit bluechew.com for more details and more important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew very much for sponsoring the Bernie Show. And I appreciate you for hearing me out when I talk about Blue Chew. I'm just trying to help. All right, here we go in our third segment. What could the Cardinals receive in exchange for Lars Nootbaar? He's still just 27 years old. He's still good defensively. He's really good in right field defensively. He has speed when he's going well, and there are times when he goes very well. I think his confidence is fragile, but I think getting in a better situation where he's surrounded by more stars and he doesn't have to be the guy or whatever probably would help him. But when he's at his best, he can work counts. He can draw a lot of walks. He can hit for solid power. But his numbers have been dropping and he's inconsistent. And right now his offense is 1% above league average. And if you're going to get something significant for him, now is the time before his value drops as he nears free agency. Now, some of you may say, and I understand, say, well, if he's only average, well, why would a team give up a lot for him? Number one, because he's a StatCast king, and a lot of front offices are just obsessed with that. That's number one. Number two, it's not like he performed at a pretty high level offensively like 7 years ago. You go to OPS, go to Baseball Reference and look at his OPS plus. Look at the regression. But he had been and I don't have it in front of me, and I should have made notes. I apologize. He'd been 25% above average, 24, 23, 20% above average, but it's been dropping ever since. And right now, this year so far, it's 1% above average. So if you're going to get something significant for him, now's the time to do it. Because the more you wait, the longer you wait, the worse he could get. But also, the more removed he is from the time where he was putting up much better numbers. And now's the time to make the move, because the sooner you trade him before he can go to free agency, the more value he has. The upside is still there for Nootbaar. I think it's a confidence issue more than anything. I think he's fragile. When things start to go bad, I think he just kind of overreacts, starts chasing stuff, getting out of what he needs to do. But front office types will look at Nootbaar and they will see him and they see those StatCast metrics and they look at a guy. Hey, if we get him here, he will thrive. Once he moves on from the Cardinals, hey, look at all the other guys that have left the Cardinals and done well. True point. It's happened too many times, actually. I'll describe a few situations here. Again, I don't want to just fling this out. I did some research. I'll describe a few situations here to let you know why I believe Nootbaar would have appeal to teams looking for help if they're looking for a profile that fits Lars Nootbaar. The Dodgers have a loaded farm system, and they have an eye for talent, and they have a history of making hitters better. So therefore, Nootbaar is like the ideal profile for them. But let me tell you what also the Dodgers have. They have a big problem in left field, because Michael Conforto is a bust. Take a look at his numbers. They're ugly. As of Wednesday morning, the Los Angeles Dodgers left field position, all the people that have played this year, they have produced a 197 batting average, way below average on base percentage, way below average slugging percentage. And as a group, they are 20% below the league average offensively. That's the Dodgers. And yeah, they could use Lars Nootbaar. And that front office, the way their minds work, I could be totally wrong. I think the Dodgers would be jacked up. the opportunity to get Lars Nootbaar. Now, the only problem is John Mozeliak would be scarred after the Ozuna trade. So he's going to want to try to win the trade so big in a way where he can't lose the trade, and he'll make ridiculous demands, and the Dodgers they'll go work with somebody more serious than John Mozeliak. If Chaim Bloom was in here, I think Chaim Bloom could make a deal with the Dodgers in 5 minutes, and it would be a good deal for the Cardinals. But anyway, the Seattle Mariners, they're on a run. They got a lot of pitching. They got tons of pitching, and there is a void in right field. Not left field, but right field. Nootbaar's best position defensively is right field. Mariners right fielders this season are hitting .223, and the position, as including all players they've used in right field, they're 19% below the league average offensively. They're a liability. How about our friend Mike Schilt and the Padres? Their left fielders, it's even worse. Their left fielders this season have hit .225, and they are a whopping 26% below the league average offensively. That team that has a chance to be really, really terrific, that team is just all but shouting, give us a left fielder. Who is available? The Phillies left field spot is as great as the Phillies are in so many ways. Their left field position has produced so far a 198 average, and they are 15% below the league average overall offense. The Rangers still think they can make a run to a playoff spot. They can if their pitching was the reason, but their offense is awful. They're getting very, very little offense from their right field spot in particular, and that's Nootbaar's best position. Now, the Kansas City Royals may be deluding themselves, but they pitch very, very well. Their offense is terrible. In fact, the Royals' offense in the left field spot is 36% below the league average offensively. Royals got a lot of talent on their farm system. I'm just saying. And listen, there are other teams too. But if I went over all the other 29 teams, I'd be sitting here until, dinner time. You don't want that. I don't want that. I'm giving you a few really relevant examples of why he would be a fit or where he would be a fit. Look, I can't give you names of specific players that these other teams would offer in exchange for Nootbaar. Look, if you want to read like fantasy trades where these guys can cop trades that will never happen, right? Well, the Cardinals should trade Nootbaar. They can give their number 3 prospect to the Padres, and they can demand Michael King, who's going to be healthy next year. And they can get they put all these names together, and they think that makes them look smart. And maybe to people who are gullible, it makes them look smart, but actually it makes them look stupid because they're putting together fantasy GM trades that have like no chance of happening. I ain't going to do that. I'm just not going to do it. I don't know enough about other teams' prospects or who they are comfortable to deal to sit here and be a complete fraud phony by giving you names as if I'm Big Johnny expert here, okay? Please. But there is a market. There is a market for Nootbaar, and he is under team control through 2027. Surely among all these teams that need a left-handed hitter in a corner outfield spot, and that's a lot of teams do, surely there are quality, some of these teams at least have quality starting pitching prospects. I'm talking about guys who will be major league ready soon, if not already. Maybe there's no room for them where they are, right? Or some of these teams have a lot of starting pitching, and they might be willing to part with a young major league starting pitcher who would appeal to the Cardinals. And I'm not saying that's all they would get. That's the other thing. I can't sit here and say, well, it takes this or forget about it. Because it depends on what they offer. It depends on the caliber of the prospects, and it depends on what teams would be desperate enough to really sweeten the package and maybe give you 2 really good pieces for the future. I don't know. But with his contract control, his value demands a higher return. So I would expect it would be a nice package. It would have multiple talents in there. And it doesn't have to be just pitching either. But I really believe the Cardinals would land a nice package of talent, future talent, near future talent, that's going to help set them up for a nice future. And I think Nootbaar trading him, I think, will really speed that up. But I do think pitching should be the priority. All right, I'm almost done here. In fact, I got 1 minute to go. Another question. Do I trust John Mozeliak to pull this off? Hell no. Is he bold or creative? Does he think outside the box? Let me think. Hell no. Can Chaim Bloom handle a Nootbaar trade better than John Mozeliak? Yes. 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 And I wish. So that's the idea. Again, I know I'm not the only one to think about it, but I try to put some particulars to it to explain why he would be attractive to other teams, and also explain there's a long list of teams that actually could use him. And some of those teams have loaded farm systems. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Please leave your comments. And we appreciate DraftKings for presenting the Bernie Show here on STL Sports Central. Once again, thank you very much.